Hey, dudes, it's your friend, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Come join me in the circle with my bearded brother, Howlingbuds, the poet laureate himself, Stoney Alpinist, and of course, the better half of Frapple and my friend, Johnny Apple. Pass to the left and let's have some fucking fun. Alrighty, let's see if you guys show me the same respect you showed Johnny last time. Howling, how are you doing? Oh shit, I didn't even introduce us. Welcome to the circle and shit. Anywho, Howling, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Johnny.
I'm here. I have something happening. I lost something.
You're
My
here.
internet's bad tonight, so I'm here. Hi.
Stoney.
Good evening, fine sir.
Look at this. And our
See,
guest.
I mean, was that enough
I
fucking
know, that
respect
was
for you?
amazing. Well, we didn't finish
I
technically, so
tried.
you just failed.
Oh shit!
But it
son.
is fucking good. And our esteemed guest, Emily from Moonstone Plants, one of my favorites. Welcome back.
Oh, hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I decided to smoke at an inappropriate time.
right around the right time.
Yeah, I figured someone
No,
would
thank-
carry that. I thought she would have like, a whole welcome and thank you so much for having me. You guys are the best.
I was
Yeah.
hoping for
Thanks.
a howl in the back.
Yeah, thank you guys.
like a
so
deep
much.
International plant superstar.
Yeah, talking about your world travels. I figured you would have had something. I usually just expect you to do most of the work. You know that. But
Yeah.
unfortunately you didn't. But how is everybody? Good.
Sober. Let me smoke some. Let me smoke some tangy.
Oh, that's a nice choice.
That's all you've been
Always.
doing is smoking.
Yeah, but I need to smoke a lot, dude. I really just came to that conclusion where it's like a king size joint is gone, and I'm like, I don't feel high. And then another king
Wait,
size joint is gone, and I don't feel high. It's like, holy shit, dude, I smoke a
Oh.
lot. It's time to start dabbing, I think.
so that amazes me because you started smoking later in life, didn't you?
Yeah. For real later in
Yeah,
life. But
and
because I grow and
right,
because it's always around and it's just like,
but
yeah,
yeah, same. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. A
I don't
regular
know.
like 1.25 joint, like I can't even finish it. I don't think I've ever finished one.
Well,
It's
you
got
just
to be something to
Wow.
do with
Yeah,
like sensitivity to
yeah,
cannabinoids. It's the only
you're
thing I
just
can fucking think of.
hypersensitive.
yeah.
Uh-huh. You just
I
have
am a
way more
sensitive little bitch.
receptors or something.
Well, and it's a longer dosage time too. So if you think about like if, when you smoke a dab, or if you're smoking concentrates or distillates or anything along those lines, you get the impacts right away. If you sit and smoke a joint, you'll consume it over a 10, 15, 20-minute period, and you have all the extra
Oh, that's what I'm
entourage
doing
effect
wrong.
that's happening. So I mean, if you sit and smoked a bowl for 20 minutes, you would be absolutely ripped. If you took a gram and a half and packed it into one hitters, it would probably take you a good half an hour to get through those. And by about the 8th or 10th one hitter, in many of my days would be like, that would be, more than plenty for a good sized dosage. So I think just a lot of it comes from, I think what you said, Johnny, when you grow a lot of your own, when you smoke a lot of the herb that you grow, it's okay to have a joint. And joints for me, you don't really know what your dosage is or what you're really consuming, because if you're sitting there watching something, or if you're talking to somebody, it may go out, you may let it sit there, it may take an hour and a half or so. So it's just kind of a constant dosage, almost like a microdosing in a macro sense, some weird fucking
Well,
way,
Wouldn't that
so
just
real
be
talk for a
macrodosing?
second. So I'm a newbie with all of this, and for like one of the, I don't know the sizes of joints. I just know I see the 1.25 a lot of places, so I
Mhm.
figure that's kind of like a standard joint size. And so I get the cones, and you're, how long would one of those cones take you to smoke?
1.25 cone,
Yeah.
uh, 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, because Stoney was just saying,
Stoney said
he
15
mentioned earlier
minutes,
like
but
five to ten
yeah.
minutes, and
that's
I'm
if
like,
he's
who the hell is
relaxing,
taking that
right?
long?
Well, so I scale out my joints, and it's either a half gram or about like a 0.8
Do you
gram.
weigh your joints?
Yeah.
God
Wow.
damn you,
Awesome.
chef bastard.
I love that nerdery.
You,
Well,
Does not surprise me.
that is
well, it's
so
just one of
funny.
those.
Do you weigh your herbs before you put them in shit? Like when you're cooking, you're like, do you weigh out how much parts?
No.
Okay.
Well, it depends. I mean, if I'm doing work and it's recipe development and I know I need to do it, then yeah.
Okay,
But if I'm
yeah. I
just
mean,
cooking off the cuff, I mean, it's
okay.
like jazz.
Okay.
But with this, because of for very similar reason, guys, of exactly what we're talking about. If I don't, I know I would overconsume because once I kind of stepped into the realm of having enough of a head stash to smoke joints, then it just kind of became commonplace. I don't smoke cigarettes like I used to, like a decade ago now, but I would easily fall back into that mode, and so I just realized that hey, I really needed to just kind of portion control it a little bit,
Oh yeah. No,
and
that's
so I
fine.
just like. Yeah, I mean, I've got just a
I
little scaling tray. It's that little like gram tray that we've all used and seen around, and I just dust it right in from the grinder. And if it's just like an average joint that I've got for daily consumption, it's just my driver, whatever I'm going to be doing for the day, um, I'll roll a half a gram. And if I'm going to, because of the size tips that I use in the joints, about zero point 0.8 grams will be a max fill on it. And then if not, I'll move to a king size and then go to a gram or a 1.2 gram.
Did you see a
I
doctor?
love
I'm not being, I'm for real, like a cannabis doctor. You were a medical patient, weren't you? Did he
Mm-hmm.
suggest weighing this out and having,
No,
so, okay.
no, I think
So
it
this
came
is,
from a consumption. I mean, I grew up in a bag weed space, and it was a lot. I mean, it was not easy to get it, and so you had to ration it, and so because it may take a couple weeks, and so as growing up with an endocannabinoid system that really clearly needed it, but I didn't know how much I needed it at the time. Um,
You adapted
going
habits
you
much like going
exactly.
through the
So
Great Depression.
it was it was microdosing. It was microdosing. So it was like
Yeah.
where I would sit down maybe now with a joint and sit with it for 15-20 minutes. The same time space or dosing of what I could do was maybe just a few one hitters because that was what I could afford or could find or had the
Oh,
time to
for
get.
sure.
So just modified. So for the very reason, like tea breaks work, tolerance breaks work. Then sometimes it's just a matter of like 3 or 4 days. And a
Mm.
lot of people try and go complete cold on tolerance breaks. And I think that that's maybe not necessarily the case that needs to be done as well, too. I think the idea is you just got to lower your dosaging.
well there was something on Instagram I saw about this.
That video you
There's
shared
a is that what it was?
where she was a scientist, right? And she
It was Anna
Mm-hmm.
Cab on
She's brilliant.
yeah,
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 Instagram,
yeah.
and she even said, like, would you ever like get off your Lexapro or your Xanax or something just cold turkey? Like, why would you even do that? Like, that's just
exactly.
you're causing more
Oh,
harm than
wow.
good for what you're trying to do. It's like, but like what you're saying is like titrating down, and
Mm-hmm.
you go little by little until like you may reach zero, but you don't have to go zero day one. It's like you are reconditioning your body and your whole system. Like, yeah. So it makes like
Mm-hmm.
total sense. You would never tell someone, hey, get off these like antidepressants immediately. Like, no, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna go fucking nuts or die. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, I will tell
it makes
you
total
the
sense.
only experience that I have with cold turkey and trying to get off something almost killed me. So
Yeah.
I don't generally recommend it. I
Yeah.
think you should definitely try and do a tapered approach, much like everything. Take it, dude. Just it's not the end of the world if you do it cold turkey. If you just want to fucking
Yeah.
quit smoking, but
But
have that's
disclaimer: don't listen to anything we fucking say. Go see a doctor. But we certainly, I agree with you, dude. Like I think just slowing down and pacing, and it
Mhm.
it doesn't hurt sometimes to like, and sometimes in travel or just things going on in life, and it just doesn't happen as much, and you just find little gaps in space. But I think it's easy to fall into the pattern where of kind of over medicating, um, and so
Yeah.
we're just have to be responsible.
I tell you this all the time, but you cannot talk to the people that listen to this show about being fucking responsible with her
That's
consumption.
true.
It would
That's true. I mean,
it
it
would
just because
be
I scale them into half grams and 0.7 grams doesn't tell you
I
how
know,
many
I know.
fucking ones I smoke in the
Yeah,
day.
I know. You just leave that out. Emily, thank you again for joining us. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
dive deep into your personal habits.
Oh
No,
boy.
I'm just kidding. How's the plant business doing?
It's been pretty good. I mean, winter's like slower. Seasonally it kind of varies, but hopefully it'll pick up more in the spring. I'm honestly not mad though that it's been slower, just to give me more time to take care of stuff because it's really easy to fall behind on watering.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's why I'm not growing indoors right now. I think I'm just gonna stick to growing outdoors in the summer, just so that Mother Nature can do most of the work for me.
There you go.
Because I just can't keep up with it.
That is
What does a round
I've
of
killed so many little seeds. I'm so sad.
what does a round of watering look like? Is it a couple day long process? Is it a day?
I try to go like section by section. I'll do like everything downstairs in one day, everything upstairs one day, everything in the greenhouse one day. And it just like depends on how much energy I have. Like some days I'll try to crank them out and I'm just like, hell yeah. Like that was a lot. But yeah, I would say on like a big watering day it probably takes me like 3 hours.
Jeez.
Wow.
But that's if I'm like mixing up fertilizer, you know.
Are you typically mixing, like if you're doing a fertilizer mix, are you doing the whole, say, floor or whatever that you're working on, or are you kind of customizing different ones per floor?
Yeah, I pretty much just use the same. Like I just mix up like everything I have in one. I'm just like, yeah.
I mean, are you like 5-gallon buckets you're hauling around and mixing, or?
It depends. Like I go through phases where I'll use my 5-gallon bucket for a while, but then I'm like, oh, let me try a sprayer, but then the sprayer will break and then I'll switch back. And then right now I'm just using like 2-liter bottles and it's kind of annoying and not very efficient.
Yeah, I've always
My
wondered.
fucking Chapin's broke right now, so I've just been using my goddamn garden hose. So funny you say it's like, yeah, something fucking breaks. I just find something else to water with it. There's no just pattern.
Yeah, jobs
Yeah,
got to get done.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just whatever you have.
Not everybody has a fucking garden hose next to their fucking tent stuff. That's intense. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know. Does growing outdoors take care of you for all your medicine throughout the year?
Okay, so last year, no. Last year I went through it so fast and it was like so sad. And it was mostly like based about what you guys were talking about earlier. I didn't pace myself. I was like, this is the first time I've been rich in weed. Like, I'm gonna give blunts to like all my friends. Oh, that was another thing. I would like give joints to literally everyone. Delivery drivers, like Dunkin' workers. I was just like handing them out like candy. So that was
You were the most popular person in the fucking world right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year I think last year I only had three plants, and this year I did double that. And I let them go probably a few weeks longer. So yeah, it's just been lasting, and I at least like know, hey, like you gotta chill a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. You're so proud of it. I mean, you share plants all the time, but when you've got herb like that you've worked so hard on, and you want to share it like that, it's easy to.
You don't
and
even
it's the first
know,
round.
like,
You start to figure out what your head stash is, and like you said, you doubled it. You know,
how long that's gonna last you, because it's like, oh, I'm used to buying maybe a quarter to, oh wow, if I want to spend like a lot on a whole ounce at once, not like having pounds at once.
Yeah. It's not like standing there looking at a wall of jars.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, and that's the thing too, is like trimming. I have taken so long to trim this year. I think
that's a common theme.
Okay, well,
yeah, you're good. I mean, if you got if you're doing 3 hours of watering 3 times a week,
I was gonna say fuck that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a fair amount of.
Plus, I want to.
fair amount of time.
I do want to ask, how much time a week do you spend shipping shit?
Well, it depends also on like how many orders I get. But if I get like, let's say it's Monday and I got like 3 orders over the weekend, I would say it takes maybe like an hour and a half to wrap them all up and pack and weigh them and
Because I
such.
will say your packaging is amazing, and the plant was
Oh,
Yeah,
super,
yay!
yeah,
super stoked. Like I put her in water, and
Thank
like
you.
I think a couple days later, I already had roots.
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Oh, the pothos. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
awesome. They're so easy.
it's exactly why I loved it.
yeah. I mean, I think when you talk about the packaging, that just the shipping process that you do. I mean, I think I remember seeing on your either your store or your website how you've got,
Mhm.
you'll modify and kind of how you ship and when you ship based on a little bit of weather.
Mhm.
Basically, that she's got a little bit of forethought coming into play with these plants. I noticed that on the packaging she does like all of this almost like pillow filling on the inside of it, so it was super super.
Yeah, like the stuffed animal filling.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
there was no movement inside of it. The case was really well packed on the outside of it, and just like the thoughtful approach to doing the packaging. Of course, there's some stickers and stuff that's involved with it, but the whole process of opening it up, there was a handwritten card in there that explained what to do. There was, how to take care of them. Thank you very much. This is such a nice note. And even a little bit of your art too, from
Oh yeah, that's right.
right, some one of the dried leaves onto, I think it was probably, I won't even go into the names because although I did write them down, um, but then instructions on how to get them started too. So I think that's something unique about, instead of just going to the store and buying a plant, because I'm sure we are all, I mean, I'm doubly guilty. I have plenty of those around here that I walk past in the store and go, I'll take that one home. And if it's going to die in my own hands, it'll be a little bit slower than what it was before. But um, I got, let's see, a total of 6 or 7 from you, and all but one made it. So
Mhm.
all of them took roots. All of them took right off within 3, 4, 5 days, like you said, Rev.
Yeah, it's incredible. But I did want to mention that one that didn't make it. That's why you're here, Emily. This is an interview. What
Okay.
the fuck? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
are
it's
you gonna
it's
sue me?
amazing because you mailed that across the country, and to me at least, and it looked healthier than anything I've ever grown.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of amazing like how well a lot of them do, and like obviously some do better than others. But I've definitely learned Hoyas do really well. Um, and stuff that can stay drier tends to ship really well, so like cacti. As long as I mean I've gotten some before that are soaked, like some sellers just won't squeeze out the water before. Like when you get moss, you're not supposed to you're supposed to squeeze it out because it'll just take up so much water, so then when it's in the package for like 4 or 5 days, it can even rot. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Tell me about the material that they came in, because I mean, I'm in a sense where it's a cloning process, not much different than what we do with cannabis, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty similar. But I think with cannabis, like you have to be a lot more like particular about how you treat it, whereas like these cuttings, there's so many different ways. Um like I use aquarium substrate a lot of the time. That works really well. But when I ship them, I use moss. I believe it's sphagnum moss, and it's basically just the living version of peat moss, which is like dirt that you get in the bag.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that can even come back to life if you keep it watered. You'll start to notice it turn green, and it'll eventually grow, and then you can harvest that and use it for your plants. But yeah, it's really easy to propagate cuttings in there. because it stays more like other stuff would.
And so I noticed when I got mine, it had it's
Mm-hmm.
wrapped in the plastic wrap on the outside. So kind of walk us through the steps, because I know that it was the very first time I'd ever done it. So I'd never gotten plants. I mean, I've always gotten them in little, soil and little pots from the store. I'd never got a cutting
Mm-hmm.
like that before. So of course I got it, and I was like, I kind of knew what I was doing, but I got a little bit nervous about it. And literally, I think your instructions were like, soak them in a cup full of water for like 3 to 5 days. So I pH'd the water and just kind of tucked them in there. And then after that, I let them hang out for a little while. And then I just kind of carefully snipped the plastic and tucked them into a little bit of soil and just started watering them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing with moss. It's easier to transition to soil versus like some of the other ways you can propagate. Like, I know sometimes if you leave plants in water, just plain water, for too long, it can be hard to get them to grow in soil. Like, they'll take a little bit longer to take root. But if you use moss, they'll already have those soil roots, because water and soil roots are different, I guess.
Because really, they're just starting to grow through that material looking for soil. So it's almost like they start spreading their roots a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
get some access right to the water. And I think that's the other part of it is cannabis growers and so finicky about, especially autoflowers. We don't want to mess with anything or move anything or tilt
Right, like
anything.
you're on a timeline.
Mm-hmm. And with these houseplants, it's just been a slower journey of it. And even
Mm-hmm.
then, like I've moved them up to some like up potted to and I was like, well, there's really only they haven't grown that much, but they're still growing
Mm-hmm.
up and out and making leaves and going further, but their root structure is nowhere near what I would anticipate, like what I have from cannabis.
Yeah, it's crazy like how different the roots are. They're so much chunkier than cannabis roots, so you can really let it dry out more.
Mm-hmm.
Where like cannabis roots are so fine, but you're saying like how yours are so small. I just want to shout out Howling. I was so like impressed by how big his are getting. I was like, holy shit. Because they were just tiny little cuttings, and now they're like filling up his whole
It's the
shelf.
first
Oh,
time
they're
I've ever
doing
heard that.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I'm so impressed.
mine have hit that exponential phase now. Up, where they're like, just like with cannabis, it hits that stage where now it's really starting to put on leaves. And really, I mean, of course, I've added a little bit of the nutrients from gardening before, and I'm sure that helped out quite a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're all kind of hitting that. I mean, it's no different than in our cannabis when it starts to get the extra leaves and starts to do more photosynthesis, transpiring, all that sort of stuff. It's all happening, but seems like in cannabis there's so much more going on in the root system down below, whereas some of these plants it's all above.
Yeah, like you can definitely let them go without nutrients for a while. But I think that having so many different nutrients and like having all the pH stuff really sets up people who grow cannabis for houseplants, because most people who have houseplants just feed them Miracle Grow versus all these really high quality fertilizers that have like everything in them,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
What do you use? I mean, you were mentioning earlier that there's times when you got to do your nutrient blends. What are you using?
I've been using. Let me go over to my cabinet because I can't remember.
To the apothecary?
Yes, the apothecary. That's a good. I'm gonna call it that. Okay, I've been using VBX and Shine from Hydroponic Research just because somebody told me it was really good. And I've been loving those. I've had them. Let's see how big these are. Oops. Did I just cut out?
Yeah, you're good. You're right back.
Okay. I have the 1 pound bottles. So VBX is 7411, and then Shine is the bloom additive, and that's 02212.
Wow.
And these have lasted me like a year. And then once in a while I'll do the silicone. I just use the Dynagrow.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I've been loving Nectar of the Gods Zeus juice. This
Really?
is so stinky, though. Let me just say that. It is stinky.
We need to get you some
Who's
photosynthesis
Photo
plus.
Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Howling? Did you use that on your houseplants?
I have.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need to get you some, Emily.
What is it?
I used it out in my garden
Photosynthesis
this year,
plus.
even.
It's great.
Oh,
Great.
hell yeah, man.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Yeah, it works in
stanky.
the. Yeah,
It
I mean,
is elephant egg farts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
It's
terrible.
Okay, yeah, that's basically this.
but it is
Yeah.
phenomenal, and it is got all of the bacteria and microbes you could possibly want for those houseplants would fucking
Yeah.
love it.
If you like
Not
that
that you need
Zeus,
help. Like it's insulting that I'm saying that you can fucking do this to help your houseplants and yours look great and mine always look like shit.
Well,
but,
no,
you know,
I love trying new stuff.
All,
yeah, it is.
all I know is when you start using this stuff, like all the microbes and everything on houseplants, be prepared that, like in our garden, like when we're growing our medicine, we seeing some white fuzz on top and everything is like completely normal. We want it. You start seeing that on houseplants, it's a little scary at first. Like
Yeah.
even my family was like, "Hey," and after I gave them some worm castings and I fed them like some ferments and everything, and so they were raging. And someone pointed out, like, there's like all this white fuzz on these plants. I'm like, yeah, that's the good stuff. Leave it.
that's hyphae.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're ready to like get rid of the house plants. I'm like, no way. They're
Yeah.
doing great.
You're
Leave it.
getting ready.
Yeah. I feel like every other post on like houseplant Reddit is like, what is this? And it's just like different fungus that's good for it.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love how often you see a post about a container or pot that has mushrooms and they're like, "Oh, did I fuck up?" It's just like, "Oh man, I'll trade you."
No, you're just deferred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's some good
Yeah.
shit. But
That Zeus juice, the nectar of the gods, I think it's got some of the aspects of that funkiness that you get, but with the photosynthesis plus, that's the whole like consortium of bacterias, and it really is. It's
Ooh.
funky stuff, but it goes away after like a day or so. So I mean, if you're watering at night, it's totally fine by the next morning, and yeah, it's worthwhile to look into. And there's also I used a little bit of the Terps Plus in this one as well, like when they
Oh,
started getting
nice.
really exponential. And so it really promotes branching and side branching. So I noticed a few of these things just started taking off like little rockets. So it's fun to watch them, like you said, how to get a little dose of things, and it takes a little bit longer. I don't see as much of the the growth happen as fast. Like I do in cannabis, but within like a week or so. It's pretty crazy.
I'm kind of freaking out right now because as I talk about my house plants, I think I noticed earlier that they're drooping a little bit. It's wintertime. I neglect the house plants. I'm sorry. And now I'm getting a little anxious right now because I'm like, shit, I need to water my house plants.
They can definitely take a little bit of stress. Like I know it's scary, but like a lot of them, they'll droop over and then like you'll wake up the next day after you water them and they're completely like back to normal. So
They're pretty resilient. Like I haven't killed
yeah,
them
it's
yet,
crazy.
so they're pretty good. And I've killed some cannabis plants, and it's good that I can't do shit to
just some, huh?
these house plants.
Well,
Just some,
I
one or
generally
two.
would recommend trying to kill them all, there, buddy.
well, so I think some of what we worry about as cannabis growers is the watering, and if it's overwater, underwater. Heck, we were just talking about on the last episode, right? What is your kind of schedule or like watering? Is it just by rotation that you're doing it, like once a week that you're doing it, or are you I guess start there, because then each pot I'm sure has a little bit of difference in the moisture content. So are you just kind of generally watering once a week, or is it to eye more than once a week, or
So I used to be a lot pickier about my watering schedule. I used to be like, okay, I need to do like the big ones all at the same time, the small ones at the same time. But what really helps me is grouping ones together that have like either a similar size or just like they're from a similar place, so they'll have similar requirements. How many times can I say similar?
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, now I just kind of like water them all at once and they're actually fine, which is surprising. But a lot of the small ones I do have to water more. So I'm gonna have to transition those to like maybe a bigger shared pot. Just so that it can like stay more moist on the bottom and I don't have to worry about little, 2-ounce cups drying out every
Yeah.
other day.
Would you ever consider one of those little autopot valves, like just on a basic tray?
I don't
A
know if I've
tray to
seen
grow.
those.
Yeah. Well, there's the so they've gone. What's the one that they have for that they actually kind of like advertise for vacations, Howler, and for so
Well,
it's
that's the
effectively
easy to grow, which is
yeah the
just a larger flood tray with an aqua valve. But
mm-hmm,
then they got now the tray to grow, which lets you put instead of sitting in like 3/4 of an inch of water, they're sitting on a wicking mat that's
mm-hmm.
wicked up through an aqua
Oh.
Yeah.
valve. So like that's really nice for smaller containers that you really don't want them sitting like when a third of the container size would be underwater. That's pretty terrible. So like now the tray to grow, you can
Mm-hmm.
just wick it up. And so
Mm-hmm.
like there's someone in our Discord that's growing with like what I would like to do is the solo cups in the 1 gallon pots in a veg tent. And like that's what I got it for. So that would work for any kind of smaller potted like house plant or seedlings or anything. I mean, it's not limited to cannabis; it's for everything. Which I'm gonna use it for like some herbs and stuff too.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically,
So
what
that
we're
like seems like
saying
the ideal thing. We're lazy.
is
Yeah.
Yep.
we can help you get lazier.
Okay, good.
I mean, you can. I think you can get them down to where it's just the actual like the valve itself and a
Mm-hmm.
small res, and you can put them into like a large any shape that you want because the water level stays fixed. So it can either be a pot tray that you've got already or something as long as it
Yeah,
stays. Yeah, I mean it
that's
doesn't
what I
have
did
to.
with my autos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a 18 by 18 inch like tray each of my autos sat
Yep.
in. I
Wow.
put an aqua valve in them.
Yeah. So I think you just do the one little aqua valve and you hook it up to a small like you can do it from a 5-gallon bucket.
Mm.
Like, and you might have to do a little bit of drilling, a little DIY, but you don't need much of a big setup. But if you were looking for something and you could probably even do it discreetly and still have it look nice and all sorts of cool stuff. But if it was out in your greenhouse or something along those lines too, sure,
Yeah.
automation a little bit would be a good way to go.
I was actually thinking about that, or like some sort of set up my own little wicking system because I'm
For
going
sure.
on vacation in March,
Mm.
and I haven't left my plants for like more than a day or two, so I really need to figure out how how to get some of these little guys like
Well, we can
Look
in a
into it.
we
system.
have a bunch of
Yeah,
really
for
smart
sure.
people with DUI, and we can look at it. We'll figure something out that you can make.
Yeah.
But I do got to
Did you
ask
say DUI?
DIY. Did I say DUI?
I'm sure that there's plenty of those in our.
I'm sure there are. I luckily have never gotten
Yeah.
one. But the where does the northern girl go for vacation?
I'm gonna go to Aruba with my
Holy shit,
parents and my best friend.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times and it's really awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Flexing on us. Got an upstairs, east wing, west wing, greenhouse. Fucking going to Aruba.
So much for
Yeah.
average.
I know. But
Yeah.
I
So does
was
your
Yeah,
basset
y'all
hound?
can come.
I was
Does your
thinking you were
basset
gonna say
wear?
like South Maine.
Does your basset hound wear extra suntan lotion, or is he?
That's another thing. I've never even left him for a night, so I'm nervous about that.
Oh no.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind
Yeah.
going in the end.
I don't know,
I
dude.
wish I could take them.
It's tough flying with dogs because don't they just put them in the cargo hold?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh my god, that would be traumatic.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I'm pretty sure he's size enough where you could lap him. That would be pretty awesome. I'm sure you
Yeah,
get
he's
lots of
80
people.
I thought you were gonna
pounds.
say he's size enough that you could drug him, and I was like, I think with enough drugs you could do any size.
He takes a lot of drugs to knock him out. I've tried to do it to get his nails, and they just don't seem to affect him.
It's because he's got reddish hair, man. Those gingers have
Oh,
those
yes, yes.
crazy tolerances to everything. But since you're taking time off for growing indoors, do you have any plans on outdoors? Have you planned ahead yet, or are you still?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, thanks.
Because I really should start. Because last year I remember being upset that I didn't start my seeds earlier. So yeah, I should probably think about that. I know I wanna put one of my autos outside and just see how it does, because I've never done autos outside.
I think you'll do very well, especially in the shorter
I'm trying to
season.
I'm trying to convince my
Yeah.
wife. Like they have the big box stores. They all like around springtime they start talking about all the greenhouses they have, and I found one for like. I mean, it's not cheap. It's like $1,000. I'm trying to convince her because I can't. Illinois has it where it has to be behind some like locked barrier, but I want to grow outdoors. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to convince her. I'm like, come on, like I can get a couple sun grown plants out there. Let me just spend the grand. Let
So
me get it back there.
in
It'll be
Illinois,
fine.
can you get a like shitty greenhouse and put a padlock on it? And does that good enough?
That it's a I don't know. I
Technically,
mean, it's
yeah.
pretty vague law.
Yeah. Yeah, the
It's
law
Well,
just that
no,
it
states,
can't be accessible.
as it
yeah,
should be. I
from
was
what I
just curious.
understand, yeah. It just has to be behind locked doors, I think
Yeah.
is what it says, yeah. So I guess in theory, yeah, you probably could.
Now,
And the interest is the safety of anyone getting to it.
is that
Um,
only because you have kids in the house, Howling, or is it
no,
because it just
No, no, it's the
really?
law.
that's a rule.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
it's like it can't be accessible. It has to be behind a lock and key for anyone that's under the age of like 21 or something. It's like
Correct.
there's
But
something around age.
if they were on your property, they'd be committing the crime of trespassing. Why do you have to defend a under 21-year-old from who's committing a
Politics,
crime?
bro. Politics.
Yeah,
That's
Well, I
yeah.
mean,
ludicrous. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
if you
it,
put a sign out that says, "Hey, just for the record, I thought this was pretty standard, but hey, don't come on my property." That's not good enough to have people like, "Damn,
It's stupid.
that's
It's so stupid.
okay."
It's well, this is also what happens where like the governor of our state has a lot of ties to those that run some of the major cannabis players,
Of course.
and they get to dictate some of these laws, and it gets really stupid.
And it always seems to work out for
So,
them. How odd.
oh no, it works out beautifully.
Yeah. Fucking anywho, yeah, that's just strange. I get the reasoning
yeah.
where it started, where someone's like, "Hey, it should be locked up so that nobody can get it," and it's like, well, but then people are fucking breaking and entering your property or shit. Like,
Well,
what?
and
That's already a crime.
some of it, I think the state is also looking out for general public who are non-consumers and maybe have a different view or perspective of cannabis, and they don't want, because I think there's a lot of, even in some of the states across the U.S. where you can grow outdoors, it can't be in line of sight of from the road, and
Mm-hmm.
right, and so I
Yeah.
think that's part of it too, is being sensitive and respectful for folks that just have a different perspective
I
on
will
it.
tell you what, you come anywhere near my fucking property, you're gonna smell it whether you can fucking see it or not. I don't give a shit whether it's indoors or outdoors, my man.
It's just what a silly
Right, but
stance to have though, because like what if I fucking hated
I know.
lavender, right? Like the fuck is my neighbor growing fucking lavender for? The whole world needs to fucking not grow lavender wherever I can see it, because I fucking like
I
fuck
mean,
you.
Elaine,
It's a plant.
I no, you know what?
I know,
All that
dude.
will happen is the first time a neighbor complains about the smell of it, you know what I'm going to do is like I'm going to take it really back to KNF methods, and I'm going to have
Just
Oh,
have
the
a
fucking
manure.
decomposing shit in buckets and everything all over on their property line. And you know
but
what? You had a problem with that? Well, I really love my gardening. You just wait and see.
dude, like I can get it. Like, don't be a dick, and like if your neighbors are just smelling the fucking dank all day long and they don't particularly like the smell, that's fucked up, dude. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
However, if somebody comes over and says, "Hey, man, you're growing outside, and I don't like the way that smells," it's like I don't know what to tell you, brother. Like, it's fucking nature.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, and I think it's just some of the municipalities, and of course, they have to give some to get some.
Yeah,
And
of course, it is sacrifices you make ultimately to
yeah.
make people feel
Yeah.
better. It's ludicrous,
Yeah.
but we
Well,
can all
those
agree that it's
greenhouses, some of those greenhouses, I know how you've been looking at the ones that are freestanding, and I know those are always issues because you have to pour pads and get codes and that sort of thing. I'm fascinated by those ones that are just sit kind of like at a 45-degree angle. You can do them with old windows, like in a DIY format, and you just kind of you affix them either to your house or something like
Use those
that.
clear
Y-
corrugated panels.
Yeah.
Yep.
hmm
cool.
And it's so you can grow small vegetables and herbs that are low growing, upward like maybe only 1, 2 feet, maybe 3 feet tall, and they're kind of set down low. But it's just kind of it's great for rain system. You don't have to fix it; it doesn't worry about getting blown off. But they are really effective ways to grow too, keeping pests away in the whole 9 yards. And I've seen them done with old windows, and it's even more badass.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would love a sunroom where I could just grow fucking a shit
hmm
ton of fucking plants and never
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. My greatest mentor had a
Atrium.
two.
Or what are they
He
called?
lived.
A terrarium
Yeah,
with I would just have
he
fucking like frogs and shit hopping around, and then I could die happy.
so he had there was a it was a 2-story. It was a small collectible store below him, and he lived in the loft upstairs. Is my greatest mentor. But you go through the back of the store, and he had the 2-story atrium, and it was all glass from the top, so two
So
stories.
fucking
And he had
cool.
plants that he had had for 15, 20 years up and down the stairs.
Wow.
He had trees in there that were 15, 20 foot tall that were sitting in, I don't know, they must have been 50, 60 gallon pots. And it was like subtropical in there. He kept heaters in there. We would have the
Wow.
greatest parties and smoke the most amount of weed around those plants.
If
And he just loved it.
if you
He
live
just
in
loved
that
it.
fucking environment and you don't burn one there constantly, then you're wasting the environment, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just, and if you
Yeah.
don't grow tropical tree, like those old Victorian sun gardens where they had the whole like
hmm
tropics basically
Mhm.
replanted and stolen from other
hmm
countries, and I still think that was the coolest shit, dude. Look
hmm
at how much money I can waste.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty incredible, the collection he had. But he had plants all over the restaurant too. Yeah, those were fantastic places. But yeah, even the last time I was thinking, when we've got I went to San Francisco and they had the giant, massive budding one that smells like absolute death.
Oh
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
the
was,
Oh, the
corpse
corpse
yeah,
flower.
and it was like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 feet tall, and they said it was like maybe 30 days away from blooming, so we got to see it right before. Of course, I mean, it wasn't awful smelling by any stretch of the means, but it was right there. It was pretty
pretty
freaking
cool.
cool. But it was one of those.
Yeah, they're insane.
I love going to those places, and when I travel, I can
The
go into a subtropic area in the middle of
that'd be
winter.
so cool.
Mm.
The I think there was one in San Diego at their gardens for a while. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean those plants are cool. Any of those like rare plants seeing up close is just fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Speaking of
So then,
which,
what's your favorite?
Emily, I was
Yeah,
gonna
what's
ask,
your
what's your
favorite?
favorite of all time?
Great minds think alike, dude.
Amen, brother.
What's my favorite of all time?
Well, I mean, you can go all time, but I was gonna say, like, what's your favorite right now? Because that was where I was asking.
Oh, okay. I gotta look real quick.
I guess as you're looking there, count wise, do you have any estimation of how many plants you've got total in there?
No.
She had a
How many
roommate that
years
she
ago did
hasn't
you get?
seen.
I would love to count, but I know I'm gonna lose track so easily. I feel like on this shelf I'm looking at right now, which is like my main shelf, I probably have like 200 on this.
Holy
Wow.
yeah.
Just because I've like I figured out how to hang like 4 plants stacked on top of each other to like really maximize as much
Vertical growth, yeah.
like light space as I can. Yeah. So it's kind of deceiving. Like when you look, you might not think. Oh wait, this philodendron, Corsinianum. Actually, I posted this on Instagram, like I think a few posts back. But this one, I got such a crazy deal on. I didn't even know this one existed. And then I saw somebody post it for like $35. I look it up just to like see what it'll look like. Sure, the cheapest one I saw was like $400. So I was like, oh my god, like I gotta get this right now. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite.
Is there an entire subculture like we have with our cannabis beans and flowers and that sort of thing?
Bigger, probably.
Oh yeah.
Probably bigger.
And it was like in 2020 was the height of it. Like stuff would go for thousands. Stuff still does. Like I've probably actually I don't know if I've showed you. I thought I sent. People will sell these little. They call them corms. But it's basically just like a seed of an alocasia, which is similar to philodendron, but way, way, way pickier. And so people are selling a variegated one for $800.
Holy crap.
And this thing could just like rot and travel. So
And is
yeah,
that pretty common
crazy.
that once it leaves the seller's hands, it's out of their hands literally? Or do
Yeah.
there's not normally like a, hey, let me know and I'll take care of it kind of thing? Or?
It kind of depends. That's how I like to be, but some people aren't. But yeah. I mean, it also depends on like how rare and like if you can replace it.
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
a lot of people are just very like
Shiesty.
selfish with it.
You
like
know
they
it,
won't
dude,
be
in
like,
every
okay, yeah.
freaking hobby there is.
No, is variegated where there's holes in the leaves?
It's
Like
different
the
colors,
monstera
right?
is that what?
White,
Oh,
yeah, white color.
oh, okay. Oh, like the pothos plants, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can get that different color in the leaves. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think I have the Jades and Pearls as one of mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, not as cool as the one I have, but pretty cool.
Yeah, actually. Fox is cooler. The Baltic.
Actually, yeah, I think that. Yeah, that one didn't make it.
Oh
That one was the
no,
one that.
the Jade and
Yeah,
Oh,
that was the one.
really?
Yeah, no, the Pearls and Jade made it. My favorite is the double window, the M. Artisano.
Oh yeah.
That one's like bonsai. I basically tied that one just like I do my bonsai.
That's awesome.
The Sisu spinach.
Oh, yep.
My Sanseria honey, the snake plant, Love and Life, longevity spinach.
Oh yeah.
And then one of my favorites is the Peperonia obtusifolia.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Yeah, that one's the one that's taken off the most. That one went off the rails, but the bonsai one, it's just taken off. It's probably 1.5 feet long now.
And those are gonna get really big. If you give it a pull, those get like bigger than your head.
Yeah, all right.
I don't think there's anything bigger than that.
So then, thank you. I love you too, Rev.
I'm sorry. It was sitting there. Johnny was getting ready to tee up on the exact same joke.
Fucking cameras.
Just make sure you're talking about the right one. So the how often should I up pot it? So I started off from that little small one, and then I moved it up to like a gallon size. What would be the next step? Because I would like to take this thing to a massive floor plant. So how long should I leave it in the gallon?
So I would say leave it in there for a while because unlike weed, they actually kind of like being root bound once they're established.
Okay.
So until like when you pick it up, you start seeing the little roots growing out of the holes at the bottom, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Once you start seeing those, then it's like, oh, okay. Or if you just like pull it out and you start to see it look really rooted down, then you can change it. But I wouldn't worry about it for a while.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it wrapping. Bigger sticks.
Yeah.
That was I'm gonna let that one slide. Johnny's over there dying right now.
I left it right
I
there
know.
for you, dude.
In my
That's why
defense,
there's such a pause. Oh
it
my
just-
god.
I couldn't. I felt like he was leaving it there, so I would just smash it, and I just couldn't.
You're in
I couldn't do it to you
dear
twice,
Alex, dude.
but
Dear Alex.
we have a couple traditions on the circle we usually like to get into. But before we do the fun one, I'm just kidding. We're gonna do the shit lister. This one's super fun. I don't know. He'll probably won't listen to this one because he's fucking all the way in Colorado. But our shit lister this week is DJ and we couldn't agree whether it was say, like I say it's Jay say, or saw. So I'm going DJ. Pretty sure it's Jay say, but he's a fucking rad dude. I love having him around. His taste in music is always fucking amazing, and he just makes me laugh constantly. So thanks for being around, dude. Plus, he grows fucking gorgeous plants. I don't know if you saw, had some fucking negative issues, but it was more of an excuse just to show off his amazing plants.
He's on the shitter more than anybody. So man,
he does
you might want to.
He does have colon issues, I guess.
you need some prune juice, my man.
Eat some fucking spinach.
Shit. Oh man, he's good shit. He's always around his fucking. Welcome to the shit list.
Yeah, he's got a pretty dapper haircut on there, and he does represent the Central Coast pretty well. So
there's no such place. But
yeah,
I mean, he's just
he looks
in the
like,
core of Chicago.
He's too dapper.
Chicago, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
But seriously, no such place as Central Coast. Howling would say something, but I'm afraid he's dead.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh.
Well, no, I was going to bring up the fact that you all are talking about his plants and his taste in music, and what I was going to bring up is the fabulous shots that are on the shitter, but Johnny started talking about it, so I just got quiet. But that's what I enjoy most, is that, like, out of nowhere, here comes him on the shitter. Like, I am really worried about that colon. We're going to have to schedule an intervention here.
I know. He needs to eat more fucking greens, but also his amazing Christmas show that he does with the lights out in your neck of the woods, I imagine, are impressive. Now, Emily, what do you have to say about? No, I'm just kidding.
Got a Discord.
Yeah, you don't. Why aren't you on Discord?
I don't know. I just don't want to be a Discord kitten, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
Meow.
You're too cool for us, anyways. She sticks to insulting me regularly on Instagram, so.
Yeah, then okay, see, then other people can't see me bullying you.
That's very true. It's private on Instagram. Another tradition we have is I ask a random ass question. Now, I've had a handicap of the holidays for like 3 of these in a row, and I figured if I started this, I would think of a random ass question, but I didn't. So I'm going to ramp to something that what is everybody's favorite winter activity? I know that Howling's about to get like 350 feet. Johnny got like 17 feet coming down here. Stoney and Howling share the exact same house, and Emily lives where Eskimos live, for Christ's sakes. So you guys all have winter.
We just got our first snow.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it hadn't snowed yet up until this week.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Why do I keep getting thumbs up and thumbs down?
Are
you guys fucking with me?
Yeah. No,
I thought it was reading your mind. My hands are right here, dude.
It's not me or anything. It's something on our recording. It just, every time Johnny shows any emotion, it gives a thumbs up or thumbs down.
What the fuck?
But anywho, in light of all of the amazing amounts of snow that you will be getting, and I think it got to like 30 degrees here at one point. So even I was somewhat affected.
Wow,
I know I had to wear
you
two
poor thing.
sweatshirts. What is your guys' favorite winter activity? I'll start with the ever chatty howling.
So I have a pretty noisy brain, and I'm really like I hear a lot of things, and they get to me. And when in the winter, like you get like one or two of these snows where it's just this pillowy, big snowflake, just powder coming down, and it muffles everything. And so I
Hmm.
love taking the dog for a walk. The world is silent. There could be a car 5 feet in front of me. I will not hear it. It just is perfect. It's just silent. It's like a. I feel like it's if I ever did one of those sensory deprivation tanks or something like that, maybe a similar feeling without
Mm.
having to be in water. um but yeah,
That
walking
sounds
through the snow with my dog, that's just peaceful. That's like my twice a year that I may be the happiest.
excellent. That does sound wonderful. Saying yuck to being in water is something people who don't shower say. So I don't know if I do that often. Let's go with, I want to go with Emily. Up in the Arctic, what do you do for fun?
Oh, oh gosh. I don't really like snow, so I'm gonna say like baking, I
There you go.
guess. I love baking in the winter.
What is your favorite thing to bake?
Um, I don't know if I have a favorite. I will say I really, really like have this visual battle with brownies because I hate eggs, so I always use vegan eggs.
What?
Um and like flaxseed basically.
Ah,
It just like comes together kind of like an egg texture, like slimy,
Mm.
kind of gross, but less gross than an egg to me. But anyways, it kind of turns your brownies into like a lava pit because it just like I don't know, fucks up with the moisture level. I don't know. So it's really a gamble, and I would like to conquer the
I
brownies.
know how to help.
Oh,
Use an egg.
shut up.
Instantly solves your problem. I'm
Okay,
just kidding.
whatever.
I have no idea. Maybe our lovely chef will help, but I don't
Yes,
know if he
oh,
can help you with vegan eggs. That might be a step too far. I hope.
Well, I mean, the vegan eggs that they use are really just kind of it's a liquid that has a lot of different similar properties that you would find within an egg. So they do act pretty close in the same, but a lot of people don't want to use a mixed up liquid of it. The flaxseed of what you're looking for is if anything, we'd probably just need to chat a little bit more about what sort of like what kind of flaxseed and how far ground down it is into a powder, because there
oh
are really,
wow.
yeah, I mean there's several different ways that you can get after it and setting, and because it's really a protein structure, and then once you hydrate the proteins and they start to set and form chains, it acts the same way that like lecithin would act in an egg, doing binding and setting. So there's some temperature stuff. So we could go down a whole rabbit hole that probably is not the winter question that Rev was asking. But yeah, there are ways to play around with it. There are different recipes that use it in different settings. Coconut milk does a lot of work well with flaxseed stuff too. So
Oh,
it'll kind of mimic what the texture of the raw egg will be, and then you're adding some other things into it. But look into some recipes, because there are some additives that you can get around that are still all straight single source materials, rather than getting like a vegan egg where they've blended it all together. So
mm.
have fun. I mean, there's always great ways to get
Oh,
into it. Yeah.
See,
thank you, Stoney.
Yeah, for sure.
one of us is helpful.
Get a fucking egg.
Yeah, good.
I thought you like actually knew, and I was really excited.
Well, no, what I did know was that Stony would know. Like with all things cooking, I'll say yes. Hold on a second. Stony, do you know? But okay, so you like baking. Anything in particular you said you like it all. Johnny.
I don't really play in it. I don't anymore, but like my winter activity now, like I have this urge to go fucking snowboarding so bad right now. I don't know
Oh
why,
hell yeah!
but that I would like that and like snowmobiling. Those are fun, man.
Snowmobiling, yeah.
Snow winter time. Yeah, I like that shit.
Do you guys have the like published trails and that sort of stuff out in where you are? Do they
Yeah, oh
do
yeah. Oh yeah.
that around you guys?
Yeah, all the farmers
Yeah.
like their fields get posted and fucking there's tags and signs and everything. So you got to stay on the trail because then you're like they allow it, but then assholes start trespassing and causing a scene
Hmm.
and then it ruins it. So most people just stay right on the trails and respect the
There's trail
farmers and the
system,
fields. And it literally, I could go from my house probably all the way up north.
and there's like taverns on the way, and you can
Yeah.
stop and eat,
And
and
this is the
bars and that sort of
point.
stuff.
That is the point of snowmobiling, I think, is from one bar to the next.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like up in Wisconsin, people will drop off the trailer and they'll ride for the full
Yep.
day, and they'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and be back by the
Happens
nighttime
here.
loading up and
Yep.
maybe even doing some ice fishing afterwards.
Yep. Happens here too.
See, that sounds
Hmm.
fucking like a lot of fun, and then I forget. Oh, I'd be freezing my fucking nuts off. So I
Freezing.
No, dude. No, man. When you go ice fishing, you go to ice shacks, bro. They're
yeah,
not.
well, unless
They're
you're
It's like
heated.
Badger and
yeah.
you refuse and want to die of fucking hypothermia. All right,
I mean,
Stoney,
occasionally you'll see someone out there sitting on a 5-gallon bucket, ice
fucking
fishing.
Badger.
Maybe got a tent around them, but for
Yeah,
the most part, there's TVs in those things and
The-
holes drilled and
yeah, but
heaters and
Yep.
refrigerators.
there's
Ice
TVs
shack,
at my
baby.
house. Not
I know.
anywho, Stoney, your
Yeah, but there's
favorite
no
winter
hole
activity?
with fish.
That's very true.
In the floor, dude. Yeah.
Yet,
Yeah. So my favorite, they're pretty similar to what Howler was talking about. I love that sort of auditory sensation of muffling of sound and how everything kind of goes quiet. I think it's because the rest of the world kind of shuts down too. But I do, he touched on it with walking his dog, but I love to go walking out deep in nature during the wintertime by myself. The last time that I got the opportunity to do it, I got to go up and I'm in the mountains outside of a Boulder and got to walk up the Flatirons. And there's normally when you go at that time of year, you're not going to go more than 30 seconds without coming across somebody. Once you got about maybe quarter mile up into the trail, there wasn't anyone. And I had that entire mountain to myself, it felt like. And I climbed pretty much as far as I could get before I started feeling sketchy with the depth of the snow and went off kind of exploring. I always take a bunch of food up with me and put a bunch of calories in at some point, a couple joints. But I love just taking a little walkabout by myself up there, and ended up finding a couple little things brought back to some people that mean a lot to them and mean a lot to me. So I think it's just kind of walking in nature in the wintertime. Everyone tends to stay inside and want to do all the inside things or go do super big sports around and all kinds of crazy active things. But just taking a nice walk in nature in the middle of wintertime, checking out the pine trees with the snow hanging out on it and blazing my way through the trail. And it's just pretty awesome. So it's one of my favorite things to do
well,
for
that
sure.
sounds fucking wonderful. And now I'm back in on the winter paradise. See, you won me back over.
Now, what do you do though?
I don't
What's
have to.
your
I was going to
Yeah.
say,
winter quote
he puts on a
unquote?
pants, dude.
I put sweatpants
But
He only
over
puts pants on
shorts.
once a
every
I'm out.
time.
year I put on a pair of shoes and a pair of pants once.
I
That's my
I
favorite
put
winter.
sweatpants over shorts, but still wear sandals, but only for like 2 hours in the morning when it's real cold, and then it heats up, when the sun comes out. But no, I don't really have winter. I wish we did. We get rain occasionally. We're supposed to have gnarly storms this year, but we haven't. But it always sucks because shorter days always kind of. I like getting off work and still having sun, but better waves in the winter. If I fucking didn't work all the time and was still surfing, it would matter. But that's about it. But I really liked Stoney's ending, so we should have edited this out by now. But I forgot to mention before we do anything and leave, we have a fucking grow together going on. Um, so go check it out. Everybody's pictures are fucking fantastic. I think everybody but Stoney and I have planted, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still
How much
following the
longer?
ish, dude.
How much longer? I'm waiting on Forgetful, and I think there's. I want to say 5. I want to say 5 days because that would be January 16th. However, in true Yag fashion, I'm counting those ish days because I'm thinking maybe 5 to 7 days, truthfully. So
Oh, 14 days. Take her a little amber.
there's no
Come
fucking way
on.
I'm doing that. Could you imagine if I did though? Like some negative, all the shit that I have. My biggest yielder is all stuff that immediately puts me to sleep. Just fucking hell on earth. My head stash would be so. I'd just be like,
The
all right,
next
guys.
couple of months are going to be great.
I know. I've slept like 36 hours, dude. Nah, but yeah. So I'm like 7 days ish from start.
Yeah, and I'm just harvested 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So, and the last time I checked, my tent was like 64, 65, and a 60% humidity. So I'm gonna leave it at that for as long as I can. So I'm not sure if I'll get something planted before those come out of the tent, but right now they're just hanging in there. So I will definitely bring it up the tail end and be in the ish zone
Perfect.
for sure. Yeah. And we got it. I mean, it's a good point. I know we had someone popped into the Discord just today and asked if there was still time to get in. Number one, 16th is when we said, but it's totally fucking ish. If you want to get in later than that, we just want everyone to be growing together. Just what we're trying to get away from is someone contacting us in like 3 months. And it's like, well, really, you're just not getting a sticker and not going to get your name in the random giveaways that we'll do. So
Yeah.
as long as you can get those in, I'm just firing out, trying to get them out. Hopefully, I've gotten all the envelopes out with all fucking stickers in them and I haven't forgotten again this anymore. But I've changed my process, everybody. So hopefully they'll be coming post haste in my mailbox. Lady loves me. I love waving at her for it. So
There you
give
go.
me more opportunities. So we've got like almost, I think we're like 50 plus growers now in there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
huge, guys. It's so awesome. So thank everybody for giving their information and jumping in there. And I know we have even more growers that I don't have addresses from. So my guess is we're probably in the 60, 70. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. And Emily, when are you planting your seeds? Oh, you're not because you don't care about us. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you have anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Honestly, what a great answer. Howling.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a light nerd, and I like to
Kind
geek
of.
out around different, kind of just a little bit, and geek about different spectrums and all shit, like everything that no one should ever care about, really. I like to geek out on, and so I just picked up a couple of HLG lights that may match what I've been looking for. I mean, I'm kind of sad that how quick HypnoGrow could get me to buy something, but it happened pretty quick, and so I'll plug HLG. Like I think everything I've
I'm
heard
out.
about these
Are
lights
you
and
plugging a light
see it,
you don't fucking have yet?
it's coming
That
tomorrow.
is
But I
ludicrous.
am just
There
very
is no
impressed with
way in
this light.
hell you can say
Yes,
that it is going to be a good light yet.
I it I
The
have
only
a
part
lot
of
of.
this that you've done so far is spend the money. Or do you enjoy it? So
It's the
far, up
most
until
important
now, it's
part.
been a good experience in you spending the money. Okay.
Whatever.
We will revisit this, but
All right.
my God, you can't recommend a light that you haven't used.
I was plugging not the light, but just the company that they had something that was a very reasonable, I think, light from everything I've researched. That's all I was plugging.
I know, I'm
No, I
just
do not
giving
have any
you a hard
firsthand
time.
experience with it.
I'm
Fuck
just
off.
giving you a hard time. Um, Stoney, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, Moonstone Plants. Go get some plants. I mean, if my
Aw.
asking can grow, I think I got the bundle pack. I ordered for you kind of a random the mystery pack, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, go visit the store, get the plants, get started on it. I didn't have any real major house plants until I was getting started with these, and now I'm kind of hooked. They're just as much fun to keep me as accountable for all of the things, just like my cannabis plants do. So go check out Moonstone Plants. Go find her on Etsy and Instagram and all that sort of stuff too.
Amen. Don't you feel bad now,
Thank
Johnny?
you.
Emily, do you have anything to plug?
Ooh, let me plug Landshark Genetics, because I wanted to mention him when we were talking about fertilizers, because he makes like a bunch of different KNF. Oops, sorry, you probably just heard Odie. He makes a bunch of different.
We definitely just heard Odie.
We don't mind at all.
He's a
There's
good
a
boy.
lot
He's super
going
excited now. It's Roscoe
Oh.
Pete Coltrane.
Yeah.
Super Dog Flash.
He makes a bunch of KNF fertilizers. And yeah, he's really awesome. He lives up in Maine. And yeah, his thing is Landshark Genetics.
Excellent. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us. I will also
Thank you so
plug
much.
Moonstone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
And thanks for listening, everybody.
Yo.
Peace.
Yeah.
Later.
See you soon.